Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. For many years, Captain Wild Bill Wichrowski fought against the most dangerous storms the Bering Sea could create. He was an expert at handling the waves, a famous person who led his boat and crew through ice, wind, and crazy weather. But there was one storm he didn't expect, the one growing inside his own body. For a man who beat every scary thing the ocean made, his biggest fight would be against something he couldn't see, something that would make him choose to change his life and Deadliest Catch forever. The story doesn't start on the icy decks of the FV Summer Bay. It starts somewhere much quieter, much colder, and way more scary. At the end of season 19 of Deadliest Catch, the show did something it almost never does. It left the dangerous waters of Alaska and followed Captain Bill into the clean, quiet hallways of a cancer treatment center. The quiet sound of hospital machines replaced the normal sounds of crashing waves and yelling deck workers. For fans used to seeing Bill in total control, this new place was shocking. He was no longer the captain of a powerful boat. He was a man waiting for news that could end everything. The camera filmed as Bill, a man known for his loud voice and serious attitude, sat quietly, waiting for the results of his medical tests. The tension was thicker than any fog on the Bering Sea. Then the doctor told him the news with words that hit harder than any giant wave. The doctor looked at him and said clearly, "You do have prostate cancer, and it needs to be treated right away." It wasn't just cancer, the doctor explained. It was a fast-growing type of the disease. The fight had to start right now. There was no time to wait. For a man whose life was controlled by seasons and fishing limits, his schedule was now controlled by doctors and treatments. The ocean had always been his biggest challenge, but now, a tiny enemy was threatening to do what the sea never could. How does a man who has never given up on a fight react to news like that? For Captain Wild Bill, his first feeling was not fear, but fighting back. As soon as he heard he had cancer, one of the first things he thought was, "I'm not going to stop fishing. I'm going to keep going until I actually can't." He knew that many people who get news like this just give up and hide away, and he believed that just makes it worse. He refused to let the disease control him or end his job. The Wild Bill personality built over many years of hard times and danger was not going to be stopped by this. He decided he would fight this battle his way on his terms, and that meant going back to the one place he felt most alive, the deck of his boat in the middle of the Bering Sea. He was not just fighting for his life. He was fighting for the identity he had spent his whole life building. Going back to the Bering Sea while starting serious cancer treatment is a choice most people wouldn't make. Bill admitted that when you tell doctors you want to go fishing while getting treatment, they look at you like you've lost your mind. The world of medicine, which said he needed rest and to stay in one place, was totally different from the world of crab fishing, which required brutal hard work and being completely away from medical care. But Bill was determined. He knew the road ahead would be super difficult. He told people openly that the next 4, 6, 8 months are not going to be pleasant. He was going into the most dangerous job on earth while his body was at its weakest, a risk that would test every bit of his strength and determination. The treatment itself was a non-stop invisible battle. Bill shared the details with his fans on social media, explaining he was getting a combination of radioactive seeds and hormone treatment. The radioactive seeds were placed inside his body to fight the cancer directly. The hormone therapy was designed to stop the cancer from spreading, but it came at a huge cost. Bill explained that the treatment was designed to make his testosterone levels drop to almost zero. For any man, this would be a hard process, but for a crab boat captain whose life depends on strength and energy, it was awful. He felt the effects almost right away. He wrote that he had no energy from the hormones. This powerful, larger-than-life person was being drained from the inside out. He shared a sad thought with his followers, writing, "I have always felt 10 to 15 years younger than my age. The job I have and being around a crew half my age feels like the clock has caught up. The very treatment that was saving his life was also stealing the energy that had defined him for so long." But through all the pain and tiredness, a new mission began to form in Bill's mind. He realized that his struggle could have a purpose beyond himself. He decided to let the Deadliest Catch cameras follow his entire journey from the doctor's office to the deck of the Summer Bay. He said, "I'll be honest, it's kind of weird to put the diagnosis out there to the public. I'm willing to put it out there to let people see the journey in hopes of convincing some people to get tested." This tough private man chose to be open in front of millions of people. He turned his personal battle into a public health message, hoping to save other men from the same thing. He stated his new goal simply and powerfully: If I can help save 1 or 2 people on this planet, that's a good thing. The captain who once measured success in pounds of crab now measured it in lives he could possibly save. He was using his fame not for glory but for good, changing from a tough sea captain into an unlikely health supporter. To understand why Bill fought so hard to stay on the water, you have to understand the man who lived it. Bill Wichrowski's journey to the captain's chair was long and hard. He grew up in Irwin, Pennsylvania, a town east of Pittsburgh, and after graduating from Norrin High School in 1975, he joined the Navy. His time in the military gave him a love for the sea, and when he got out, the promise of big money in Alaska's king crab industry brought him to the Bering Sea. This was long before any TV cameras were there to film the drama. For 20 years, he worked his way up the ladder, starting as a new worker and eventually earning the rank of captain through pure hard work and determination. The sea was in his blood. He had spent his entire adult life on the water, building a reputation as one of the toughest and most skilled fishermen in the fleet. His boat wasn't just a workplace. It was the result of a lifetime of effort and sacrifice. His nickname, Wild Bill, wasn't just a catchy name for television. He earned it starting way back in high school. Looking back, he joked that it probably should have been Stupid Bill back then. He told stories of doing crazy stunts, like climbing between 2 moving cars on a highway and diving through ice to swim the length of a pool underwater. But as he got older, the name took on a more serious, scary meaning in the lawless world of the Bering Sea. His fellow captain, Jonathan Hillstrand, once told a story that showed just how wild Bill could be. Some of Bill's crew got into a huge fight in town, hurting several people so badly they ended up in the hospital. The town was ready to ban Bill's boat, which would have been financially terrible. Bill came down with his AR-15, fired a couple of rounds out the window to get everyone's attention, and ordered everyone to put their hands on a table. He then broke the hands of anyone with blood on them using the stock of his gun and fired them on the spot. It was a brutal act of what Hillstrand called marine law, a way of keeping order in a place that had none. This was the man who commanded respect through both skill and fear. Before he became a reality TV star, Bill had already lived a full life at sea. By 2005, after many years in the brutal Alaskan waters, he decided to semi-retire. He moved to the warmer climates of Costa Rica and Mexico to run sport fishing tours. But when the economy took a downturn, he found himself wondering what was next. At the same time, a show called Deadliest Catch was becoming a huge hit. Bill saw an opportunity. He stayed in touch with his old fishing buddies, and as he watched the show's popularity grow, he decided to get in touch with Discovery. In 2010, during the show's 6th season, he broke into the tight-knit circle of Deadliest Catch captains and brought his intense, serious style to millions of viewers. Behind the tough outside was a man with a personal life full of its own challenges. Bill is married to his wife, Karen Gillis, who he credited with being his rock during his cancer battle. He wrote on Facebook that she keeps me in line and put up with a lot last few months. He also has 3 children, 2 sons named Zach and Jake, and a daughter named Delia. His relationship with his son, Zach Larson, was often a source of drama on the show. Bill was an absent father for much of Zach's childhood, spending most of his time at sea. When Bill brought Zach onto his boat as a new worker, he hoped to build a relationship, but the two often argued. Viewers watched as Bill pushed his son, sometimes criticizing him for being too much like his mother. A criticism that hurt deeply given Bill's absence during his growing up. The father-son tension reached a breaking point when Zach eventually left his father's boat to work for a rival captain, Shay Dwyer, in season 13. The situation grew even more tense the following season when Shay bought fishing quota out from underneath Bill, creating a professional rivalry fueled by personal history. Even when Bill gave Zach opportunities to step up, like taking control of the wheelhouse, he was often disappointed when his son didn't take the initiative. Bill's life wasn't just about fishing and family drama. He used his fame for good. During the off-season, he was constantly on the road making appearances at NASCAR events and fishing tournaments. He became a passionate supporter of charities, especially those helping veterans like the Wounded Warrior Project. As a Navy veteran himself, this cause was close to his heart. He once said that a Discovery executive told him he would have a voice people would listen to, and he took that to heart. He found a new purpose in using his fame to make a difference, taking wounded veterans out on sport fishing trips and giving them a brief escape from their struggles. But the sea is a place of constant hardship, and Bill's time on the show was also marked by tragedy. In 2020, he lost his deck boss, Nick McGlashan, who was only 33 years old. Bill considered Nick to be like a son, and his death from a drug overdose was a devastating blow. The loss of his trusted right-hand man, a man he was teaching, added another layer of sadness to a life already defined by struggle and sacrifice. Throughout season 20, viewers watched as Bill fought a war on two fronts. He battled the harsh weather of the Bering Sea, while his body battled the effects of his cancer treatment. He pushed himself to the limit, determined to finish the season and prove that he could beat this. But his body was sending warning signs. His energy was low and the physical toll was becoming obvious. Then came the moment that changed everything. While out at sea, miles from any hospital, Bill received a call from his doctor. The news was blunt and terrifying. He had a necessary operation scheduled in just a few days, and the doctor told him that if he didn't attend his next appointment, it could be a potential death sentence. His fighting back had finally met an unbreakable wall. He could no longer ignore the reality of his situation. He was faced with the ultimate choice, his boat or his life. For the first time, the captain's orders were being overruled by a doctor's warning. And it was a warning he could not ignore. The decision was painful, but it was clear. In a career spanning over 4 decades, Bill had never quit. He told his crew, "I've never missed the ending of a season in 40-some years. I've never walked away in the middle. Never had to go." The scene where he announced his leaving was one of the most emotional moments in the show's history. He gathered his crew, his voice heavy with the weight of his choice. He knew he had to leave, but he couldn't just abandon his men and his boat. He turned to his trusted deck boss, Landon Cheney, and handed over the control of the FV Summer Bay. He told Landon, "Frankly, I couldn't think of a better guy to leave the boat with." It was a powerful act of trust and leadership. In that moment, he wasn't just a patient leaving for treatment. He was a captain making sure his ship was in safe hands. He was walking away from the life he had known for 40 years, not in defeat but to fight a different kind of battle, the one for his own future. After leaving the Summer Bay and focusing on his health, the news everyone was waiting for finally came. Bill took to Facebook to give his followers an update. He wrote, "Happy to say, numbers are great." And then the words everyone wanted to hear, "I seem to be cancer-free now." The relief among his fans was huge. Wild Bill had faced his deadliest catch yet and had come out on top, but his victory came at a price. And he was honest about that too. In the same post, he reflected on the toll the battle had taken. He wrote that after a lifetime of feeling younger than his years, the fight with cancer and the harsh treatments made him feel like the clock has caught up. He called it maybe a small price to pay for his life. He had won the war, but the battle had left its scars. He was a survivor, but he was also changed forever. With his health getting better, the question on every fan's mind was, when will Wild Bill return to Deadliest Catch? The answer came as a shock. Ahead of the show's 21st season, a representative for the Discovery Channel made an official announcement. Captain Wild Bill Wichrowski will not be appearing in the new season. After more than a decade on the show, his time was over. While no official reason was given, it was clear that Bill was choosing to put his health and his future first. The man who once said he would fish until he couldn't anymore had reached that point. His leaving marked the end of an era for the show. He was one of the last of the old guard captains, a true maverick from a time before reality TV. His farewell was not a tragic ending, but the final logical step in his journey. He had given his life to the sea, and now he was taking it back for himself. Captain Wild Bill Wichrowski's story is one of incredible strength, both on the water and off. He was a fearless captain who commanded the respect of his crew and the attention of millions of viewers. But his final chapter on Deadliest Catch showed a different kind of strength. It showed the courage to be open, the wisdom to ask for help, and the bravery to choose life over a job. He may have said goodbye to the show, but his legacy as a fighter, a leader, and an inspiration will live on. His final voyage wasn't about catching crab. It was about catching a second chance at life. And that was his greatest victory of all.